Hey guys, so why is coronavirus not like a world war, and why do I think that we can come back from this a lot quicker than say we would from a world war or a global conflict like that? And bottom line is it comes down to three things and three main things. There's a whole heap of other factors too that we need to look at, but the reality is in this video I'm just going to cover the three things. So what are these three things? Well, just remember before we get started, like, subscribe, and ask any questions. I'm happy to answer them. If you want any videos made, if you want any questions answered, happy to go away and do the research and come back. But anyway, let's get into it. So there's three things. The first is infrastructure, okay? In a world war, what tends to happen is the enemy tends to bomb your cities and they wipe out all that infrastructure. And so you've got to go about rebuilding that. Now, that is both a benefit because what you get is a new city built, but it's also a disadvantage. And the interesting thing is, if you look at London in particular, London had about 8 million people in it pre-World War II, yeah? And actually post-World War II, it had 5.5 million. So a lot of people moved out into, effectively, the countryside and basically never returned after, okay, because the infrastructure wasn't there. So infrastructure is a big thing. That can both stimulate the economy post-war because it creates people and jobs and that sort of thing to rebuild, all right? But what the coronavirus doesn't do is it doesn't destroy all that infrastructure. So you don't have to rebuild that infrastructure, so you can just get on with doing whatever it is you do, okay? But what it does do, or what the wars do, is kill. So the first one's infrastructure, the second one is deaths, okay? So if you look at what happens in a world war, we generally send off the youngest and the fittest and the most productive people, all right, the 20s and 30s year olds, off to war, and they die, and obviously they never come back. And the challenge with that is you've lost a whole lot of productivity, okay? So that can be, mean that it's slow to come back from. Coronavirus is killing the old. And, no disrespect to the oldies, but the reality is they're less productive in terms of an economic side of things, okay? And so what that means is coronavirus it's killing off the oldies, not the young ones, and therefore the productivity, we're not going to lose the productivity coming out of this, all right? So that's another key point. So infrastructure, which is good news. Deaths of old people, I'm not going to say it's good news, but you know what I mean. The bottom line is it's not affecting the young and productive, and therefore we can kick back into things as soon as we get back in. And the third one is unemployment. Now, this was one that could have gone the other way. And I think, if you look at Australia and look at other places where actually initially they didn't inject money, in the US even, they haven't injected money into the economy, and directly I'm talking about into individual jobs, into the small businesses that employ people, and therefore those, if they hadn't done that, those people were made redundant, creates massive unemployment, and then it takes a long time to rehire those people and get the economy moving again. What the UK has successfully done, and a number of other countries, Canada's doing it, Australia is now doing it. I think they've learnt their lesson from the UK and other countries. Denmark has done it, and and I'm sure the Sweden, and I haven't actually checked Sweden, Finland, Norway, those guys, but they're always quite good in their sort of those sort of programs. But the bottom line is, if we're able to press pause on the employment and see people through by funding it and directly funding those businesses, then what happens is when we press play, the economy gets back in again. And I think that's one of the key things that we want to look for, is those three things. The fact that the infrastructure is not being destroyed, the deaths with the old and not the young, oldies, nothing against you, it's a purely economic fact, okay? And then the unemployment, which it looks like certainly the UK is leading the way by injecting not only in the employed people, but the self-employed people, which is such a huge thing because we don't want to lose all those small businesses. So actually it allows us to come back from this in a very positive and strong way. And I think that's what you're going to see, especially for somewhere like the UK that has had Brexit for 3 years, everything's sort of settled down and it hasn't been booming. And now we've been able to turn it around, okay? We were just about to boom again, and then what happens? Coronavirus comes in. But I think what will happen is when we come out of this, we're best placed to actually make a massive difference and get back on moving. That's not to say things aren't going to be tough for a while, because I think, coronavirus isn't going away anytime quickly. But yeah, all right, guys. So consider those three things as you're considering making decisions about investments and about the future and about investments, whatever it is. Okay, because they are big, massive things that do affect either a war or post-war or post-coronavirus. Have a great day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay at home, guys, for the time being until we start seeing those relaxation of the locked-in things. All right, guys, have a great day. See you later. Bye.